Thinking about leaving your soul sucking 9 to 5 job, one of the biggest struggles I see people, especially as women, face is the idea of having that safety net, that enticing perks and benefits, and listening to that head trash of what will people think if I leave. I totally get it, and I've been where you are. That's why I created a free guide to help you if you're thinking about putting in that notice. It's called Unlocking Your Exit Plan. Discover 5 things you need to do before leaving your 9 to 5. This guide is filled with worksheets and steps so you will have hand holding along the way. You can download your copy in the link in the show notes, and again, it's totally free. Now back to today's episode. You're listening to the Hello Sis Dorsey podcast, episode number 16. In this episode, it's really going to make you hungry. I'm talking with Cherimarie of Carlsbad Food Tours on this episode. And let me tell you, yes, my stomach was growling a little bit when I was doing this interview. I was so happy she was able to stop by and tell us all about Carlsbad Food Tours and how she was able to get into it and became the founder of the company. Let's dive in. All right, we're on. Hi, Sheree. How are you doing today?
Good.
That's good. So go ahead and tell us about yourself and what you do.
Yes, I'm Cherimarie, and I am the owner of Carlsbad Food Tours, which is a party on the move, basically. It is a progressive eating tour with a little side of history. We actually go to 8 restaurants. We do food tasting, wine, and we talk about the history, culture, and architecture of the town.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
See, you want to go, right?
Yes. I'm like, to be honest with you, I'm actually planning a trip down there in October. So I'm really hoping to maybe swing by and see you. So,
Okay, well, that'll be fun.
so tell us something about yourself that a lot of people don't know.
Well, I was actually in the Army. At 18 years old, I joined the Army. I needed to get out of Riverside for for a time period, and I wanted to go to Europe. And they happened to have a deal where you had a 2-year tour, and you could pick your job or your station. And so I wanted to go to Europe, so I chose Europe, and they had tested us to see what we scored high on, and I had scored high in auto mechanics. So they wanted me to be a helicopter repairman. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine, whatever. So they sent me to Virginia to school. And when I got there, they're like, really? You want to be a helicopter repairman? So they ended up teaching me transportation specialist. And I ended up going to Germany for 2 years and working in government housing. And I
Wow.
used my GI Bill and went back to school, and I was a nurse for 34 years after that.
Wow.
Yes, and I specialized in open heart surgery, and I did 10 years in the operating room, 10 years in ICU, and then case management of heart surgery patients. And by 34 years, then I retired and decided to do something a little bit more fun. So I invented Carlsbad Food Tours after going on a tour in Carmel, California. And yeah, it was a great tour. And I'm like, this is a fun job. Okay, I'm going to start this in retirement. So I actually, after I'd gone on her tour, I actually called her and said, Stacy, I want to start this job. What do you suggest? And she told me, you need to go to Chicago. And I'm like, what? And so Chicago, a gentleman named Shane Coast, who owns Chicago Food Planets, taught a course called Food Tour Pros, and they would teach you how to set up your tours. So my husband and I flew there, and he taught us everything we needed to do to, how to talk to the vendors, how to price it, what kind of places to put on your tour, one of a kind mom and pop places. And we came back and we set it up, and then we flew Shane out, and he did a walkthrough on the tour and said, I like this place, I don't like that place, and you're talking too much over here. But I now belong to a group of all the people he's taught around the world, which is we have anywhere between Hong Kong, Montreal, all over the United States, and hundreds of people that we communicate together with on the Global Food Tourism Association. And so we talk online about, marketing techniques and social media, that type of stuff. And then we meet once a year at a foodie city to do a conference. So it's pretty cool.
That is awesome. I'm sitting up here like, I'm hungry now.
I know.
So as far as the process and the setup, how long did it take you guys to set up, get up and running and going? And how long did it take before it really start to like kick off?
Well, I would say it took a couple months to figure it out after we went to the course, because we got professional guidance from people had been in the industry for years. So I would say that's probably one of the big things if somebody's going to start a company, try to get with somebody that's already done this. And so you're not recreating the wheel every time. So you're just, going with, we had a template and what to use, how to interview them, everything that we needed to know. So it was relatively simple to set it up. I would say that we started getting customers right away. But one of the things we did to really increase the customers was Groupon. And Groupon is great to get people in. However, Groupon is not good for a business bottom line.
Yeah.
So, when my husband says you need to start carrying your own weight here, and I'm like, okay, Groupon's got to go. So a couple of years in, after I had proven myself to be a real business, and you get some respect from the local business people, and they notice that you're bringing customers to their place, and it's a win-win for both of us. And then Groupon was slowly taken out and replaced with other types of marketing tools, and that's where we're at today. And we've been in business now for 5 years.
That's really good.
We offer tours every day from 11:30 to 3. And we also have several different types of tours. We have the original tour called Taste of Carlsbad. And then we have a new tour that I invented last year that's called my Indulgence Tour. And that tour goes to a lot of new places in town, because in Carlsbad we have a lot of new restaurants. I would say probably 6 to 8 new restaurants. And we just keep building more and more restaurants. We're not really eliminating restaurants. A few have gone out of business, but not many. So that's where the new tour came in. And at some point, they're going to be all new restaurants on that tour. And then we also do private tours for companies and team building activities. So, so we can take out, on a private tour, we can take up to 30 people per tour for 2 tours. So 60 people out for your Christmas party or whatever activity that you want to do, some team building activity just to kind of get together with all your business people. We get a lot of conferences in Carlsbad and the La Costa Resort and the Park Hyatt. So we get the conference people coming over and doing the tour and checking out our town. So it's really a great way to get to know a town in one day. You go to so many places. We talk about the history of each location that we go to, the people that own it. You get some history of the town and what it's all about. And then you can go to all your favorite restaurants after that. We give you coupons and discounts so that you can go experience the town and have a lot of fun.
That's
awesome. What we're all about.
I love it. I really love it. I do. I mean, I love food and I love to learn. So
yeah, and you should come when you go on the tour. You should do the tour at the beginning of your vacation, so that then you can go back to all your favorite places. And like I said, you'll have a discount coupon for them, and it just makes you feel a little bit more ownership of the town, because now you know the story of the town, why it's important, and so you kind of get to know it really well in a day. So you, like I like to say, you become a local in 3 hours. That's pretty cool.
So how did you shift the mindset from I'm working like regular, our work hours to now I'm my own boss. How did you shift that mindset, and how long did it take you to shift the mindset?
Actually, I don't think I ever had a problem with that because I'm kind of a all in type person. Even with my jobs at work, I mean, I never really, yes, I did when I was a nurse, I would say, okay, my hands are clean. Basically, I'm done and next shift and somebody else got to take over. You have to learn that. That's actually hard because you have to give up what you were doing and you're trying to get a patient well and this and that, and you have to hand it over to someone else. So I found that more difficult than actually taking it on by myself because I can work whatever hours I want to work. If I want to work in the morning and in the evening. And my husband has his own job too. He has an internet business and he owns San Diego Model Makers or SD Model Makers, which he sells ship models from, he works with the Philippines, China, all these different countries to import these ship models. Like if you were like in the military and you served on a certain ship, you can get a model of that. Or if you had a boat and you wanted a replica of your boat, you can do that as well. But because he's sitting next to me, during the day, I'm like, if I have any business questions or like if I need someone to reread my newsletter, make sure, all the grammar is correct and this and that, he's like the go-to guy because he does all my backup. Like, Excel is not one of my favorite things. And I had to take up Excel and then we had to get into QuickBooks and learn a lot of new programs. But it was interesting. And, when you're wanting to keep track of your money, you got to put it somewhere and put it in
Yeah.
there accurately to do so. So you
That's the
learn
truth.
pretty quickly.
Better you than me, because I'm like, I'm not there yet as tracking. I'm not, and I have to get into that mode of tracking what I'm spending in my business, what I'm bringing in my business. But I'm like, oh,
It's
that's
hard to see at first because you always think you're making more money than you are.
Yeah,
But then
it's
you're
the
like,
truth.
okay, then I remember at one point when he said I needed to make money in the business. This was not a completely a philanthropic organization, so I had to keep track a little bit better. And when I got rid of Groupon and went to some other methods, I was more interested in seeing okay, how can I do this without this,
Hmm.
and how can I make this happen. And also, to tell you the truth, after being in business for 2 or 3 years, you get more confidence in yourself and you know what your product is. And you know that people actually are buying your product. And then you don't worry that if you have to have a price increase or change something around, that people aren't all of a sudden not going to come. So, and actually, I think that happened for me, that kind of mindset happened when in 2017, actually. So that's 3 years into the business because we started in 2014. But in 2017, I won Women Owned Small Business of the Year. Woo-hoo, for
Wow.
Carlsbad. And it was very exciting, and it gives you a validation of what you're doing and that you're supporting your community and they actually are paying attention to you, and this is a real business. So that was a real booster in ego, and that your business is working when your community is accepting you.
Yeah, that is so awesome.
We also do a lot of community interaction. I would say I consider myself the Carlsbad ambassador, or the ambassador of Carlsbad, and I do a lot of different things with the Carlsbad Village Association. We do programs to bring people downtown. I just part of my business, I feel, is promoting all of Carlsbad, not just the businesses that I go to, which obviously I promote them, but I also promote the store next door to the business that we go to. When we're walking around town, I may point out some of my favorite shops or places that people want to go. We also talk about all the different activities that Carlsbad has to offer a visitor. like for instance, yesterday's tour had 15 people on it, and they were all East Coast. So it's not always that it is people from out of town. In fact, half of my business is local and half of it is out of town visitors. So you get a little of both. And the locals usually are somebody that's gone on my tour just to check it out, learned a lot about the history, and want to take their family and friends, or coming back for a party of some kind, of birthday party, anniversary, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The visitors, they want to know everything there is about Carlsbad. So we talk about, the Making Music Museum that we have here in town, the flower fields, the Gemological Institute, all the different activities that they can do, not only what they're doing on the tour, but while they're in town. And then we also talk about all the new restaurants. So yes, I'm promoting my restaurants that we go to, and that's really easy to do because they're tasting the food, they're meeting the people, they're going into the environment, and then those people, most of them go back to those locations. In fact, I'll find them walking around town, going right back and doing the tour again for the next day. It's funny. It's like, we're going over to the donut place, and I'm like, okay, I'll see you. They're funny. It's a win-win for everyone there. And that promoting your business, promoting Carlsbad, I believe that it also, you need to give back to your community as far as charities. So our tours, I've given tickets to pretty much anybody. I shouldn't probably say this, but pretty much anybody that asked me for tickets in the area. Of course, I try to keep it in the neighborhood, but we help the Marine wives over at Camp Pendleton. We do some educational things when the Carlsbad Foundation is trying to do a gala for something. We've done the heart surgery and breast cancer. All these different types of charities, and I just feel like since the beginning that's part of taking care of your community, is everybody working together, and the charities and the donations and everybody, that is part of your duty as being a responsible business owner in town. So I just build it in. It's just part of the deal. I don't even think about it. Well, we got 2 tickets to here. Not everybody comes back and uses their tickets, but I gave it to them. They could use it if they wanted to. And then you meet new people every time when somebody comes. You might meet a local person that had won the tickets at some gala that they went to. And then they'll come back and then they'll tell their friends, and it's like, that type of thing.
Wow. That's awesome. So it's like a community word of mouth type of business, and I love that. Like that's really awesome. When I saw your profile and it said that you do food tours, I was like, oh, mom, I know somebody. I know.
I got connections now.
I was like, we're going down there.
We're going down, yeah.
Because we love that stuff.
You should.
Yeah.
We actually, I got a phone call recently from ABC News, and they actually may come next week and do kind of a video interview walkthrough with the tour, and so we might be on the news. Pretty cool.
Awesome.
We were on my first year in business. I think it was one of these referral businesses, and they were asking a question about who does a business that helps other businesses as their primary goal. And so they were asking to write a little email response. And so I'm like, well, that's what my job is all about, is promoting other people. So let me write this up. And I didn't figure I'd hear anything, but you never know. So you got to try. And then a few days later, I got a call from the producer of MSNBC, It's Your Small Business Show. And he says, hello, this can you tell me about your business? And I'm like, da, 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 da. And he says, we'd like to fly out from New York and film your tour. And I'm like, what? That sounds great.
Yes.
So he did. So we actually do have a little clip on MSNBC, But what he did was he interviewed my businesses, how my business affected their business. So he'd go to like Cafe Topaz and ask them, well, her food tour, how is her food tour doing with your business, and why is it good for your business? And one of the big things is, and Cafe Topaz in particular is a business that's not in downtown. It's a little bit out of downtown. So you actually have to know it's there. It's actually closer to the barrio area. And so you have to get off the beaten path to go to some of these places. And that's one of the advantages of the food tour, is that we do get off the beaten path, and we do go to secret little local hangouts that you might not know about. You probably don't know about, but we want to show it to you, because those are sometimes the best places, because like Lola's Mexican Deli, for instance, has been there since 1943. Well, you don't stay in business since 43 without not having good food. So
That's right.
and you wouldn't find Lola's because it's not on the main drag. But that's the advantage of the food tours, is kind of getting to some really cool places that may not be right on the corner, because most people wouldn't go as far as off the main street.
Yeah, those places we call hole in walls.
Hold
And
on, yeah. Mm-hmm.
out here, because I'm from Northern California, so I'm up in the Bay Area. And every time, if it's like a little rusty, little beat up place, that's the place to have the best food. It has the best food, and we call it a hole in a wall, because it's literally like a hole in a wall.
Yeah, they're usually not the expensive places either, and they have the best food. But you have to know where to go to those places, because you don't want to make a mistake. But at the same time, sometimes they don't look like they're going to be the best place. And so you may be deceived by the outside. You're like, oh, I'm just going to walk by this place. But actually, mistake, that was a very good restaurant. You should have gone in there.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, the hole in the walls.
Right.
So the theme is time to level up, how to reach your goals in 2020. So what tips can you give us today on how to level up in our business, life, health for this year?
This year, business, I'm doing a lot of continuing education things, because there's a lot of programs out there. Technology is unbelievable, that can help my business, that even Instagram, for instance. I'm actually doing a class on Instagram right now, how to work it with my business. And I thought I had it down pat, but I am not consistent with my photos. They're not all the same color theme. They don't all look similar. Supposedly, and I didn't know this, but you're supposed to have them where if you looked at all 50, 60 pictures at one time, they have a flow. They have the same color scheme. They have the same filter on it, backgrounds, different pictures inside. Well, I didn't know this. All mine look different. So there's certain things that supposedly to make your Instagram or your social media to the next level. And I'm working on LinkedIn. I mean, I've got 6,000 people on LinkedIn right now. However, even though I have a lot of connections, I don't do a lot of business on LinkedIn. So I need to be a little bit more connected with my connections. So, it's those kind of things. So that's primarily what I'm working on to, keep the business going. It's an ongoing marketing, going to new meetings, meeting new women. I go to a lot of women's meetings. Women's Wisdom in Rancho Santa Fe. I go to NCWIN, which is North County Women's in Networking, and you meet a lot of people that way, and it's a lot of fun too. They always have good lunches. So obviously, I'm about the food. That's embarrassing, but anyway.
No, I do the same thing. Like every time, I get so mad when they don't invite me to places at my job. And I'm like, I really want to go to that networking event. And then when I find out what they have, kind of food they have, I'm like, I used to tell my old boss, hey, are we going? What kind of, can we go? She was like, go, Candace.
Oh, maybe that'll be your new job. You can be in charge of networking for your business.
I
It's a
know,
full-time
huh?
job if you can make it as much as you want to. I mean, so every time, like how I met you, I mean, so I'm like, oh, there's an opportunity comes about, and you got to take the opportunities, right, as they
That's
come
right.
around. And so that's, and you never know what's going to come up. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to do this today. And anything that you do other than sitting at home by yourself is going to be networking and meeting new people. And oh, one of the main things a new business person should do is join the Chamber of Commerce. And they take you and hold your hand through setting up your business, making sure that you have your appropriate license and all the paperwork in. And then they also do a lot of networking events. So I can go to the Friday breakfast in Carlsbad. I can do the monthly meetings, the happy hour meetings. So see, this is a fun job. You go to Friday breakfast and you go to happy hour.
That's interesting. I never.
And they teach you too. They teach you classes and how to run your business. And yeah, so that is that, joining the chamber and then joining your whatever your local business expert is, like in my case it was Food Tour Pros, is the best way to get connected with the people that you need to help balance you or to lead you in the right direction. Because if I have questions at this point in time, I can just go online and say, hey, what do you think about this? Should we do this? TripAdvisor is doing that. What should we do about it? That type of thing. And so it's your support systems.
That's really good tip.
That's what you need when you're in business, because otherwise you're kind of alone if you don't have your community's support. And I think that's why a lot of small businesses can be difficult, because you're doing your little business at home with your computer. You're not getting a lot of information from anyone outside or any ideas. I mean, I get so many ideas from other people. I mean, it's like the community is supporting you and say, hey, why don't you try this? And why don't you try that? And that's how you expand your business.
That's awesome. That's really awesome to hear because I know of the Chamber of Commerce, but I never even thought to even join.
Get on it, girlfriend. No.
I am. Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I'm more of an online type business. So,
So it's
and
mine, but I have a face of the public as well. I mean, somebody has to run the back end of it, but and most businesses have, you meet people out in the public
yeah,
that you could be on your show. I mean, there's, people in the chamber that have a million different businesses. If you're doing a show on women and what they're doing, there you go, right there. you know. Anyway, it's just an idea.
I'm like, hey, this is my mini coaching moment sessions.
Sorry about that.
I'm like, hey, I'm getting good information while I'm like writing, taking notes and everything.
That's funny.
No, I'm gonna actually check that out. I'm really gonna check that out because I think that's very important now that you mentioned that.
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
you want your business to be supported by others and
Yeah.
people that if you have a bad day or whatever, that it's not going to fall through because you have the strength behind you, and you can go to somebody and talk to them about it, or somebody that's been through an experience that you've had. It just makes you stronger, I think.
That's true. You definitely need that network. And that's one of the things that I focus on, one of the main things that I focus on this year, and that's building relationships. Because
Mhm.
I say if I could build relationships and meet people, network with them, have people on my podcast, I can support them in the things that they do, as well as they can support me in the things that I do. So it's kind of like we're all helping each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I
And I
love
think
it.
women do that really well. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think in general, women in business, we tend to, we do business with people we like, so
Right, that's
it's
the
all
truth.
about building the relationship with somebody, because if you like them, you're more likely to go to their business and buy from them, or do something with them. And you want to support them because we're all like in one group, we're all supporting each other.
That's the truth. That's true. Yeah, it's awesome. So if you knew then what you know now, what advice would you give yourself 10 years ago?
Well, 10 years ago, let's see, that do do what your heart says to do. And, go with the opportunities as they arise. Be open to something new that you may not even think about at this point in time. Because then, it hadn't occurred to me, you're going to own a food tour. Really? I didn't even know what a food tour was at that time. So, I just think that being open to the different things that happen in life, sometimes you don't know where it's going to lead you. And eventually you're like, oh, that was a great decision. And then making your decisions as you go along, instead of trying to run your life into, okay, this is where I'm going to be. That might not be where you're at. So, you might take where you're at that moment and say, okay, what opportunities do I have now? What I want to do now? Who do I want to be? You don't have to be the same person the whole time. I mean, I've got a long
That's
life.
true.
So,
Yeah.
I was a nurse, I was a mother, I was, you're different categories, and you're still a woman, and you're still, yeah, who said I was going to be a businesswoman? Well, I decided I was going to be a businesswoman. And I think that's part of it is just seeing yourself as in many facets, that, okay, today I've decided I'm going to be an artist. So therefore I'm going to start working on art, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And just see where it goes. And that way you keep your a lot more things that you can enjoy in life that way.
That's a really good tip because a lot of people out there that is on the internet, big internet people, making a lot of millions and millions of dollars. And they always say the riches is in the niches.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, how long can you actually do that one niche before you have to keep moving up? You have to keep leveling up in your life and in your business. You can't
Mm-hmm.
do that same thing, that same niche forever, because at a certain point, it's going to come to a plateau and you're going to have to make a shift. So
Well, you'll know when that time is, because something else will come up that will guide you to do the change. Like, just for instance, the second tour that I decided to develop, it was nowhere in the plan. I'm like, I'm going to have a tour, and that's it. Well, the second tour came up because there's too many new restaurants that I wanted to go to, and I figured everyone else would want to go to, and therefore I make an opportunity for people that have already been on the original tour to go to the second tour. So you've got your niche. My niche is Carlsbad food tours, but my niche can go a variety of ways.
mm-hmm.
I've got those tours. My niche is going to private tours now. I'm actually in the process of inventing a new tour, and that is going to be to go to some of the places in town that make foods, like Prager Brothers and Gelato Love, that actually make their food on premise, and learn some of the industry secrets of how they make the foods and then eat the foods. So there's, and that just happened to come up because I work with Gelato Love, and they happen to do a new place in inland Carlsbad, and they are surrounded by people that make food like them. And they said, we should have a tour over here. And I'm like, okay, so let's do this. And next week we're meeting to discuss their new event and how that's going to work. So like I said, you don't know exactly everything. You can't plan everything out, but you can be open when things happen.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that. We could do a mic drop right now. We could
Okay.
do a mic drop after that. And it's like, oh, that's it. We're ending the show on that note.
We're not on the Oscars, are we? No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Oh my gosh. So what's next for you? What's next for you? What do you see yourself doing next?
Well, I'm continuing with the business. It's funny because I do live in Carlsbad currently. However, we're going country now, and we're moving to Bonsall, which is a half hour from here, which not very
Okay.
far.
Okay.
However, it's horse land, equestrian property, and wine country. So we're going to live on top of a hill, and we're going to overlook the strawberry fields
Oh.
and all this agriculture. I'm going to have a farm. I'm going to make my own, lettuce and tomatoes. And we have 50 avocado trees. So we're going to be completely different than the suburban life that we've been living next to the beach here. I mean, not on the beach, but we've been kind of doing the suburban life here, and we're just making a change. And so that should be, yeah, we've gone country, is what they say. Who knew my husband was going to be a cowboy? And we're both riding horses now. And I'm riding these horses. They're called gaited horses, and they kind of prance around, and they're really cool horses. So yeah, new chapter.
That's awesome. That's my dream. That's like my ultimate. I want to get there because I want to be like somewhere just secluded and just quiet. I used to
Right,
live in Emeryville and city girl, and they like building up in Emeryville because it's a lot of people from San Francisco that is pretty much moving from San Francisco to Oakland, Emeryville, that area. So they started
right.
building more houses and started getting noisy. I was like, no, mama, I said, we gotta go. We gotta go across the bridge. So I live in Fairfield, and when I tell people where I live, I'm like, I live in the middle of nowhere, and I love it. Like the cows is literally over the hill, and I'm like, I love it. And I'm saying
Yeah,
to myself, how can I get more of this? How can I just be like open air acre?
right, exactly. Well, my kids, I have four girls, and they all think we've gone crazy. They're like, we're moving to the country. Come out to the ranch and ride a horse, or go swimming. We're gonna have a little pool and
Oh
all that stuff. So
wow!
I figured, that's a good place kind of to have a home for retirement type
Yeah.
thing. Because even though I can still go down to the village and do my thing at the village, I can go home to a peaceful environment and quiet, like you say, and sit up on the back porch and look at the sunset and just, relax. I might have to get a rocking chair. I don't know.
That sounds so awesome. That really
Yeah,
does.
so
I'm just like have my eyes closed and I could just picture it right now.
I know, yeah, it's fun. I mean, we're not doing the typical retirement thing that you're supposed to do, sell everything and kind of pare down. We did that, and that's where we're at right now. We pared down, but now we're actually getting a bigger house, and we're thinking, you know what, we can do some Airbnb here. We could do the bed and breakfast, do some house swaps type things. We got a big place. Our whole family can come and stay for holidays, make it holiday weekends and things like that. So it's just different. It's gonna be different, but I think it's gonna be good.
That's awesome. That's really good. So, do you have any last minute advice for our listeners out there?
No, I feel like I've talked a lot. I would say just go with the flow and let it happen, and don't try to control every little thing, because we're not in control. I don't
That's
know if you
right.
know that, but we're not in control, and yeah. So just realize that, and
That is
have
right.
fun. Have fun.
Have
That's
fun.
what the tours are about. We're serving up happiness. So there you go, one little spoon at a time.
That is awesome. Well, where can everyone find you?
So I have a website. It's carlsbadfoodtours with an S.com, and they can check it out there. We have Facebook pages and Twitter, Instagram. We got it all.
Everything you need in your business, right?
Yeah,
All
or
the
they can,
social.
yeah, they can call me or email me. It's Cherimarie at carlsbadfoodtours.com,
Awesome.
and we'll get you started on your tour.
Awesome. That's really good
Plan
to
your
hear.
vacation down here.
Oh,
Carlsbad is a lot of fun.
oh yeah. I've been
You
watching it on
can take the
YouTube.
train too. You can take the train all the way down. You can take Amtrak from the San Francisco area. It's a great ride along the coast, and that way you don't have to drive. and just hang out in Carlsbad. If you get off at the Carlsbad Village train station, you'll be right at the meeting spot where we meet every day. And if you decide to come down, let me know. I'll talk to you about some hotels and things.
That's really good to hear. I'm taking notes.
Okay.
I enjoyed you so much, and thank you so much for being on. And yeah, this was really awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Go to hellocsdorsey.com to subscribe to the latest episodes or subscribe on the platform that you're listening on now. And remember, nothing is impossible, so let's make the impossible possible on today. Until the next time, take care.